Hi, I'm Mike King of Recruit King Executive Search. We are a boutique white glove search firm that only targets passive candidates for our clients. We've certainly talked a lot about the people in transition right now, the people that have been affected through COVID, whether they've been furloughed or they've lost their job in another way. But today I really want to talk about the current and active employees that are currently working but are feeling incredible stress levels right now and are not feeling as confident about the future of either their careers or their companies or even their industries. So wanted to just spend some time on that today because I'm certainly getting a lot of candidates that are very stressed out from the fact is they just don't know where their career is going at this point. So wanted to touch on a few things, and there's sort of two things that you need to consider first of all. And the first one is, will things bounce back post-COVID? And it's a very difficult question to ask because none of us know what the future holds. But if you're feeling confident about your industry and the demographics and trends, and if you're feeling things are going to bounce back, that's fantastic. And it's just a sort of a temporary feeling of stress and anxiety right now. But if you are feeling that maybe there's more to the picture, maybe your industry is in decline, maybe your position or your company is not as positioned for long-term success, these are some other areas that you want to sort of think about. And sometimes the stress is laying on you because you don't want to address some of those fears as well. So today I want to talk about some of the coping mechanisms that I recommend to candidates that are in that sort of situation, and there's certainly a lot of them. So once you sort of determine that you're unhappy, it's about doing something about it. And that's often the hardest part, is really actually taking the time to put aside after a long day and really trying to determine what makes sense for you in terms of your career and going forward. Sometimes it can feel like such an ordeal that you just don't want to attack that issue. So I always recommend to people is to really just spend 1 hour a week. So just break it up into two. So you've got two 30-minute chunks, and then start from there, and then you can sort of expand further if you want. But sometimes it doesn't actually require a lot. So when you want to break up the chunks in that first week, the first 30 minutes, you really want to close your eyes and think about, what you love to do, where what your ideal job is, and sort of try to envision what you're doing in that role. What are the actual functions of that role? And this is where sometimes candidates can suddenly realize that maybe they're not as far off as they actually think, that maybe they still do love that industry that they're in, but maybe there's a certain niche that they want to expand into further. Maybe they think there's some potential for growth, and it can sometimes give them some direction to say, this is where I want to be pushing. I either work with management to have me move into that area specifically, or whether I move into that area on my own. But what excites you about that industry, and where do you think there's potential? Sometimes it's actually a quicker fix than you might think. So once you close your eyes and really figure out what you want to be doing and where you want to go, that's part of the problem, and it can get resolved really quickly. And you'd be surprised at how many candidates after 30 minutes can suddenly feel charged and excited about where they're going, just because they put a little bit of thought into where I want to go. And I've had candidates that have come to me and said, I didn't want to do this exercise. It was a long day. The last thing I wanted to do was avoid my kids after a long day and sit down with the door closed and think about this. But they actually came back really charged up, and even told me that they couldn't even sleep that night because they were so excited because they had a vision of where they wanted to go. So that is what I highly recommend. The stresses that we get from work sometimes are hidden, and we don't realize how much pressure, how much weight they have on our shoulders. It can really affect your emotions. It can really increase your ability to make mistakes. Your imagination can go down, can make you irritable. So there's all sorts of issues that could be happening, and perhaps your spouse or a significant other has told you that you're not the same. So it's just good to be cognizant of this and to try to address that. So this exercise alone will really help in really formulating what makes sense for you. The second most important piece is the visualization. And we've all read a lot of self-help books where they talk about, use that imagery and try to get to your promised land. So really trying to draw in what makes sense or where your passion lies, and move towards that. So get some clarity on what you're trying to do, and good things will happen. Again, it's the law of attraction. I'm not going to get into all the phenomena that many of the self-help books will get into, but it's undisputed that they do work. And I've had people come to me and say, I wanted to switch industries, but I didn't know how, and suddenly someone just appeared in my life that had a great connector, and was able to introduce me to a gatekeeper within the industry. So you really want to get clear on your vision. That's really important. And again, the clarity. So knowing that you want to move into another industry, sports, because you really enjoy sports, that's not good enough. You really have to really be able to clearly outline why that's the right industry. So what skills are you bringing to the table there? What skills do you think you can provide, even though they haven't been fully harnessed yet? Where do you see that industry going? Why do you think you can bring in a twist or a niche that maybe other industry people haven't been able to figure out? Do you see some macro trends that would lend itself well to you being able to blossom in that industry? So these are all the types of areas you really need to get clear on. And once you're clear on specifically where you can bring some value, when you're very clear about where you're going and where you think the industry is going, really trusting your gut in terms of why you want to be moving into a certain area, it just continues to generate traction and confidence. And what will happen is when you share that with other people, they see that as well, and they will make sure that their doors opening up for you, and they will open up their network as well. So visualization really, really is important after you've done that brainstorming piece, and then really trying to put the pieces into place where you can bring some value. Managing stress and anxiety, I'm not going to get into too much of that. We can all talk about, improving our diets or our physical activities. It's obviously a critical piece for managing stress. I'll leave that piece up to you. Organizing of time, I will jump in here though and really talk about the importance of that Sunday night planning. So you've got your regular work week, that you're tied to with your current mandate. So if you want to sprinkle in, again, starting with maybe 2 30-minute segments a week, scheduling that into your calendar to make sure that happens. Maybe you've got an objective to meet, a certain level of contact in a certain industry that week. What are you doing to achieve that, and making sure that's documented in your calendar / electronic day timer or whatever. So, that's the golden rule is, set your plan, and then, you want to work the plan from there. So that is a critical piece. And then the last thing I would say would be communication. So continue to really share your vision or your objective with people around you, your loved ones. It reinforces what you want to do. It brings further clarity to you in terms of where you think you can bring some value, and it charges you up about going towards the goal line. So, the last thing I really would say would just remember that this is just a short-term thing. Things will get better. It's just a matter of time, and it's in the meantime, during this extended time of COVID, at least we can say we're putting our steps forward, and you're moving your career in the right direction. Even if it's 2 30 segments a week, you are moving forward, and it's really important to remind yourself that you are progressing. So I'll leave it at that. I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any thoughts, or if there's any other ideas that you want me to explore in further chats. And bye for now.